So we've all heard about culture shock, but what is it really? Culture shock is a phenomenon that all travelers go through, whether they're conscious of it or not. One definition that we found out about culture shock is the inability of reading the meaning of one's surrounding. We have 5 distinct stages of culture shock. First, the honeymoon stage, the rejection stage, the regression stage, recovery stage, and the last one is the reverse culture shock stage. The first stage is the honeymoon stage. This stage, the person or the traveler is so excited about the new culture that he loves everything. Everything is great. He likes the food. He's so excited about the people he's encountering, about everything he's seeing, and he doesn't even realize that he's in a new culture and he might have to be faced with culture shock. The second stage is a big shift after the first one, which is the rejection stage, where the person becomes so shocked about everything in the new culture and maybe disgusted about several practices of this new culture that he starts complaining about everything and he's really shocked. The third stage is the regression stage, where the person or the traveler starts to idealize his own culture, seeing everything good about his own culture and judging everything in the new culture against his own, seeing everything negative about the new culture and maybe starts to refuse to speak the new language of the new culture. It's important to note that some travelers and some people skip this stage completely and go into the fourth stage, which is the recovery stage, where simply the person goes with ease with the new culture, accepts it, and have a new balanced view about everything and not comparing everything to his own culture and having a better positive view of the new culture. And finally is the fifth stage, which is the reverse culture shock stage. In this stage, the traveler or the person goes back to his home country to find out that it's not completely as he imagined or idealized in the third stage when he was in a new culture. And here he finds and he's shocked about everything that he thought is perfect in his own culture and becomes like alienated of what he's seeing and becomes in between the new cultures that he have opened to and his own culture that he thought is perfect and now it's not. Everyone goes through culture shock differently, but one thing remains true, that whenever we go into a new culture, a new environment, a new country, we will feel a bit lost at first. That's why it's important to know the steps of culture shock and the natural process of how a person can deal with that, so you can be prepared to this new experience you're going through and to adapt and be open to the new culture. Now let's have a look at some students who went through this experience, telling us what they thought about it.
I did experience culture shock, and I didn't think that I was going to. We actually had a meeting at school before we came here to kind of prepare ourselves, and they told us that it was going to happen, and I just thought it was like, oh, it's something different, you know, they're just letting you know about it. But then after a while I really noticed it. They tell you that you go from being extremely happy because you're, you know, studying abroad, it's something new, and then all of a sudden it goes down to you're kind of depressed and you miss home and things are just not what you thought, and then you go from being happy again to traveling and trying new things, and I went through that.
First would probably be a change of lifestyle and also change of clothing. When I got here I was kind of the odd one out, coming out of high school mentality, had the whole skater thing going down. Then I decided to just dress as what suits me best. Also, instead of trying to form cliques, I decided to take a more open mentality. Always start, a very easy thing in the school is to start with what's your name, and then you immediately ask which country you're from, and then you can, you know, compare countries and compare feelings about how you felt coming to a foreign country.
It was really difficult for me to adapt to being in Brussels at first. You know, there I was in an unfamiliar place where I didn't speak the language. I was very reserved. I wasn't used to all the rainy weather and the people and having to walk around so much. It was just different from the lifestyle that I'm used to. And you know, in order for me to overcome being here, I just started to go out, you know, try to make friends, break the ice a little bit, and it definitely helped me adapt to being in Brussels?
I had to adapt very much to having to work the hand-in on time. If not, it's an F. That's something that is very different to everything else I've experienced before. There's no leeway. They don't give you, well, they hardly ever give you exceptions. The work has to be done, and it has to be done properly. So in that sense, you're very independent. That's something I had to adapt to.
I definitely felt homesick, and I knew that different times I wanted to be back in the States, or I wanted, I don't know, milk that was refrigerated instead of sitting on a shelf. I definitely overcame the random, unexpected things that came up that you needed to adapt to.
When I first moved here, it was the first time I moved out on my own, which is already, you know, something huge for me. It is, and I slept a lot, like huge amounts of sleep I needed, which was really weird and new to me, because when I got home from school I was just exhausted. My mind went completely blank. I could not think. I just had to get sleep and eat. I ate like crazy. I must have gained like 5 kilos since I came to Brussels. So I guess those are some symptoms, could be symptoms of culture shock, because it really took some time for me to get used to that.
First of all, I tried to make too many friends, too many Belgian friends who speak mostly Dutch and French, and I tried to learn the language so that I can adapt. I think that if you need to integrate into the society, I think one has to know the language. So I tried to learn the language, and then when I knew a few words, when I could speak and understand a few words, then I think I adapted.